This is the Welcome to Raw is Jericho.
The following announcement has been paid for by the New World Order.
Listen up, you blind slapnut.
If I can be serious for a minute.
This is the Flex Network. This is the Flex Network. Flex on them. Flex on everybody.
The real reason I came here tonight is because we are live!
We Flex are NXT.
It's go time, folks!
Sweet! A little bit of the bubbly.
The preceding announcement has been paid for by the New World Order.
For life.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all the ages, it is Thursday here on the Flex Network. That means it is that time of the week again. It is the Wrestling Week in Review show here on Facebook, on the Twitter, and on YouTube. We everywhere, man. We're just growing by leaps and bounds. And it is another week of action-packed. Let me say that again. Action-packed wrestling going on in the world. Man, a lot of great things going on and a couple sad things have happened, but we'll talk about it. We will get you to where you need to know. But first, you know how we do this before we get going any further. Because we are live. Yes, we are live. Again, we're live on the Facebook. We are live on the Twitter. We are live on the YouTube channel here on the Flex Network. And it's a beautiful day for some wrestling talk. So let's get into this show with a little news report about what's been going on in the world of wrestling, in the backstage area, kind of. Some sad things to talk about. Actually, some sad notes to talk about off the beat. WWE legend, wrestling legend, Kamala passed away this week at the age of 70, as it pertains to the virus. Another victim of this virus pandemic takes a wrestler. It is such a sad note to see the Ugandan giant pass away at age 70. And it sucks that we lost another legend. Rest in peace to Kamala. The legend. Let's get a little happier. Everyone knows Kurt Hawkins, right? Everyone knows Kurt Hawkins from WWE. Well, he is now going by Brian Myers. He has now made his debut back on on Impact Wrestling for the first time since 2015, when he was there with GFW and Jeff Jarrett's somewhat new company that he created and feuded with Impact to try and gain control, and it didn't work thanks to Drew McIntyre. So yeah, a lot of stuff. But this is the first time Brian Myers has been on Impact Wrestling since 2015, and he challenged for the Impact World title in an open challenge match to Davey Richards, the current Impact champ. And it didn't go his way, but still, first time in a while that he's on Impact Wrestling since his release from WWE. Some even better news for our Ring of Honor fans. For the Ring of Honor fans out there that love Ring of Honor, they are planning to come back at the end of the month. They're going to start doing film empty arena shows in Baltimore on the 22nd and on the 23rd. So coming up, actually, literally, it'll be SummerSlam weekend that they're going to be filming some empty arena shows, and they're going to come and do pay-per-view next month. However, they're not planning on holding a live event, and the pay-per-view on the 25th of September is just going to be previously aired matches. So don't get too excited about new, some somewhat new content out there, but they're starting to get into the swing of things of restarting up again. A little like the never, but still, Ring of Honor looking like they're on the way back. NXT, little NXT news. It looks like they're going to have a double takeover come the month of October, with here in the States, and then we don't know what that takeover is going to be. We don't know yet. And then, of course, over in the UK side, it looks like they're hoping to try to get Takeover Dublin up and running. So it's looking like we're going to have a double takeover come the month of October. That should be fun to see and fun for the wrestling fans in general, especially on both sides of the pond. Hopefully get UK back up and running again and some content going out rather than these best of matches or favorites of that they've been showing on the network. Jericho, yes, the Ayatollah of rock and rolla. He and his band Fozzy played at Sturgis this past weekend for the first time since the Jericho Cruise / right before right as the virus was hitting. So this is the first time that they've played in a while. They played at the Iron Horse Saloon this past week at the Sturgis Motorcycle Rally. A big event. For any wrestling fans out there that know when I say the Sturgis Rally, they should be thinking WCW, Hog Wild, Road Wild, their Sturgis event way back in the day, where they would actually have a wrestling pay-per-view event at the Sturgis Motorcycle Rally, and it was a pay-per-view. Outside, sun is shining, motorcycles galore, just crowding and just revving up every time, almost the entire show. They got some great matches out of it, which was awesome. But for this, for Jericho and his band Fozzy, they did everything possible to limit the spread of the virus, masks at the door, the temperature check, and then he and his band were tested. So a lot of precaution for Jericho, especially now with him being AEW and having to come back and actually head right back over to do TV taping for Dynamite coming up. So hope everyone enjoyed the concert this past weekend with Jericho and Fozzy up there at Sturgis, which is awesome. Hope to go there one day just to experience that rally. It looks awesome. Remembering watching it from Full Throttle Saloon, just seeing how cool it was. Kind of one of those things you want to just do one time, maybe even more. But anyhow, WWE announced that they are about to be showing previous events with Evolve, Progress, WXW, and ICW brand wrestling. They're going to show those promotions on the network. It's coming to the network. Those those other indie shows, WWE has previously bought. They're going to be showing they're going to have them on the network starting this weekend, starting Saturday. They're going to have a lot of great shows on there for anyone who wanted to check other companies like Evolve, Progress, WXW, and ICW. A lot of great new content coming to the network, so hope you go and check that out. And then the last little thing before we get into what's been going on TV, SummerSlam is looking to be heading towards Orlando to the Amway Center. But for anyone out there thinking, oh, they're heading to arena, they're not going to be at the Performance Center this time. Hopefully we get some seat. Maybe they'll allow some fans in. Wrong. They ain't letting anybody in. They're going to try to. Not official yet, but they're going to try to do it with no fans. Maybe use of virtual fans like MLB on Fox is doing this year with animatronic fans in the stands, computer generated fans in the stands. But nothing is yet concrete, nothing is set in stone. So just a lot of things going out there. And that is your news for this week. I actually kind of think that the fans at, having the digital fans at SummerSlam, that would be interesting to see. To have it back in an arena again down in Orlando, if they do it, that would be cool to know that they're going to actually have an actual set this time for SummerSlam rather than just have like what they did for WrestleMania, like they've been doing for the last little while with just the little the Titantron, little entranceway Titantron, and just it doesn't really necessarily feel like a pay-per-view. But hopefully, if they do go to Orlando and they actually do the set, actually do a real set, and not like NXT, where they basically, they've been doing awesome with the NXT stuff, with In Your House. That was awesome. But if they actually get to do a set and be something cool for SummerSlam, that would make this pay-per-view a little bit more feel. As this year's just been the drag. SummerSlam, no fans, plans 86 for Boston, and now, granted, we are 4 months out from ending this dreadful year. Just dreadful year. And hopefully greener pastures are coming for 2021. But yeah, I just hope they do something cool for SummerSlam. So let's actually get into talking about what's been going on TV. And you know what? I need to throw this up now. So this is going to be, actually, let me make sure it's, I have to make sure I have that right for, boom. And this is, spoiler alert. So anyone that has not watched any TV this week, literally, granted, I hope some of you are actually at work doing jobs and haven't had the time to watch TV, that I understand. But if you have been stuck at home and you haven't been watching wrestling, here is your spoiler alert. Whoa. Woo! That means we're getting into stuff that's been going on TV. So if you haven't watched, you might want to just mute or wait. But if you have been watching, then this is nothing new. We're just going to be talking about what's been going on. So let's get into what's been going on the Blue brand. Let's head on down to SmackDown. Poof! I can make that stuff appear. And a lot's been going on. SmackDown's been picking it up. I got to admit. They've been picking it up a little bit. Not a whole lot, but still a little bit. Matt Riddle taking on Sheamus one-on-one. Now, this is where I'm going to be saying, yeah, this is not one of those they've been picking it up a little part, because while the Matt Riddle-Sheamus match was okay, unfortunately, it ended in a DQ thanks to some interference from Shorty G trying to get one up with King Corbin. I don't know why. He's just don't want to deal with it. But unfortunately, that match ends in disqualification, and things are not, actually Matt Riddle does pick up the victory, but it was via DQ. So unfortunately, Cesaro taking on Dorado, or Lince Dorado. Sorry, I cannot say his name. In singles match, and it was an okay match. Of course, right now with the SmackDown tag team scene is just so depleted right now. I mean, you got Sheamus, Cesaro, you got Lucha House Party, you got Heavy Machinery, you got Miz and Morrison. You got 4 teams right now because Kofi is out for a while, Xavier's out for a while, so no New Day at all. And the people that are technically still on SmackDown, they're not really doing anything with the tag team scene. I mean, granted, I'm just clarifying. You only have 4 teams. You can only do so much with these 4 teams. I mean, Usos are not there. So you kind of need, you have people on that roster that if they're not doing anything, put them as a tag team. Give them a run of the tag champs with Cesaro and Shinsuke. Just give them something to do. I mean, I'm sure you guys got a lot of people on SmackDown that, would love to see some action, would love to not be sitting and catering and, just sitting back there, or not even just sitting back there, just at home, be like, what are we going to do? Need to do something. Need to do something with my life. I mean, heck, that's why we lost. That's why a lot of people had to get cut. I mean, while granted, it was financial reasoning, but you had a lot of people in the back just sitting there doing nothing. I mean, granted, I can't figure it out. But again, you could be doing stuff with the talent that's not on main event, that you could be giving them some time, to help improve, tell more stories, get stuff going on, because Raw is killing you all. Raw is killing SmackDown, and NXT is killing Raw and SmackDown. So again, SmackDown, gotta step the game up. Jeff Hardy, King Corbin, another one-on-one match, and this one ended in DQ. 2 matches in one night ended in DQ. And yeah, just craziness. I mean, with Jeff Hardy, I mean, King Corbin, don't really care about it as much. Sheamus taking on Corbin in one-on-one action. That one wasn't actually enjoyable to see the 2 people we kind of all hate right now, more so King Corbin than, Sheamus, we're all pulling for, but still, to see these guys go at it was very enjoyable. Put a little smile on my face. Sheamus beating King Corbin in their match. And then main event. I mean, realistically, I don't know how this became the main event match. But Heavy Machinery, Miz and Morrison, ended in DQ. 3 of your matches on the night ended in DQ. 2 of them actually finished, with a pin or a submission. But 3 of your matches on SmackDown ended in DQ. What in the blue hell? I mean, granted, this one with the tag match, it was because the ladies got involved, got into a fight. I mean, granted, Mandy getting retribution for getting her hair cut the previous week, and just utter chaos. And speaking of chaos, Retribution showed up and tore house down, literally causing destruction like Nexus back in the day. Just destruction, cutting the ring ropes with a chainsaw, spray painting the plexiglass, knocking out the. Okay, I kind of have a problem with this one. You've got NXT, superstars. You got Performance Center superstars surrounding the ring as fans. Yet you're going to have Retribution come in and whoop on them. Men and women. You got men and women in Retribution, it looks like. And you've got them whooping on NXT, people we see on NXT. We got the Performance Center, trainees or however ones we haven't seen yet on NXT TV. But you're having them beat them up? What in the blue hell is that? That is just crazy to, think. It doesn't help, that much. I mean, Retribution, this whole idea, I don't know what they're trying to do with it. I don't know. But that whole, SmackDown this past week was not really that interested in. But we did get a lovely appearance from the lady of the WWE, the Stephanie McMahon showing up and, kind of putting Bayley and Banks in her place, announcing for Raw that Sasha has to face Asuka. If Bayley had to face Asuka. If Bayley loses, Asuka gets a title shot at SummerSlam for the Raw Women's title, and then announcing for this coming Friday, tomorrow night on Fox, on SmackDown, that there will be a tri-brand battle royal. All three brands, NXT, Raw, SmackDown, number one contenders battle royal for the SmackDown Women's title at SummerSlam. So that is going to be very exciting. Alexa Bliss is going to have a little chat this coming Friday, tomorrow night, about her encounter with The Fiend. And also Big E will take on John Morrison in some singles competition. And then, of course, we got our match set up for SummerSlam with The Fiend taking on Braun for the Universal title. Thanks to a little bit more creepiness with The Fiend interacting with Bliss. And again, a lot of people are thinking that this is going to be turning out to be a very, very creepy situation. Granted, Bliss almost getting attacked again this past week. Stops it. It's like, I don't know if what's that word? What's that description? I cannot think of it. Like the hostage. You fall in love with your hostage, negotiate, taker. I cannot think of the syndrome, but Bliss just, caressing The Fiend's face, causing a little distraction. I don't know if she's nervous or just trying to, save her own butt at the moment. But Braun gets on the Titantron, just calls out The Fiend's like he's ready for it. It's like, see you at SummerSlam, buddy boy, for the Universal title. But that was SmackDown. And actually, you know what? I want to go a little deeper with this whole thing. Alexa Bliss is being thrown out there by a lot of fans out there thinking that this is going to turn into her being the new Sister Abigail. That would be freaky as hell to know that the goddess Alexa Bliss joining The Fiend. Good God, I can only imagine granted, that would be freaking crazy and insane. And I just don't, I don't know. I can't comprehend that right now. It's just crazy to think right now. Bliss being the new Sister Abigail. If that happens, wow. SmackDown might get a little bit of a boost, but again, a lot can happen between now and the next, 2 weeks from tonight with what's going to happen at SummerSlam. So a lot can go down. But that is SmackDown for this past week. Let's talk a little bit about that Monday Night Raw, as we had another lovely night of action on Raw, and we had Raw Underground. Shayna Baszler throwing down in the Underground was dominant there. 3-on-1, that was crazy. More Dabba-Kato just causing destruction. Just a lot of craziness. Actually, before I get too far into Raw, I mean, this was kind of something that was thrown out there with more like the news, because the world's most dangerous man, Ken Shamrock, tweeted out to Shane O'Mac and WWE, and was his quote for Raw Underground. Letting them know, hey, WWE and at Shane, at WWE and at Shane O'Mac, next time you guys want to do some work shoots on Raw, hashtag Raw Underground, and actually make them look good, you got my number. Give me a call. Wow. I mean, that is just very interesting to say. I mean, you got the world's most dangerous man, Ken Shamrock, maybe throwing a little, I don't know if throwing a little shade, maybe even throwing a little interest, and maybe getting the world's most dangerous man, the former tag team champion, former Intercontinental champion, back into WWE territory a little bit more. I mean, that would be kind of interesting, to say the least. I mean, he was WWE for, a good little while, and it was just so destructive. I mean, with the corporation, taking on Owen Hart and the Lion's Den. I mean, just so much. I mean, let's see what else. Can't. I have to remember if I named all of his championships they held in WWE. Oh yeah, King of the Ring, 98. I forgot about that. He was King of the Ring in 1998. So yeah, former Intercontinental champion, former tag team champion with the Boss Man. Rest in peace. King of the Ring. So he had a good run in WWE. Granted, he was saying he could try, he wanted to come back to WWE, but obviously now with being an Impact and kicking butt there right now. So got a lot of things to do. But again, world's most dangerous man. How can you not want him on Raw Underground? That would be interesting to see. But let's get back on track with what happened on this show. Seth Rollins taking on Humberto Carlo 1-on-1 before he signed his contract for SummerSlam to take on Dominic Mysterio. Seth picks up the victory in a good, good match. Give it a good match. A little good. Seth and Dominic signed their match. Well, actually, Dominic signed his contract to become an official WWE superstar, and then they signed their contract for SummerSlam for their match. And afterwards, Dominic kind of got a welcome lesson into the ranks as a WWE superstar, and just getting whipped like a government mule with the Singapore cane. And when I mean he got whipped, I mean he got beat like an ugly child. He got bashed. A royal bashing. And it was not pretty. Let me tell you, it was not pretty at all. It just damn. I mean, those pictures that you see, the before and the after, and the, what you shouldn't do. You should always wear your, denim so you don't look like you got road rash from the road after you crash your motorcycle. This is what that kind of felt like, because I'm going to bring that, this photo up. And 30, he got whipped 30 times. 30 times by Seth and Murphy. Literally. You cannot, that is just something you say like, hey, make sure you wear your leather, make sure you're fully clothed up. Otherwise, you'll end up looking like that if you crash on the road. That's what that looks like. He got graded. Just Swiss cheese. But with a Singapore cane, the kendo stick right there, just bashed. Man, I feel for you, Dominic. That's just a bad, nice way to welcome you into the business. Just get 30 shots with the kendo stick and looking like road rash. Like someone carved you up pretty bad. But damn, that's all I got to say about that one. That was crazy. Just literally just so freaking crazy of how and what they thought. Let's just first moment in his career, while he's here as a WWE superstar, we're just gonna bash him with 30 times with the Singapore cane. Yeah, it was just bashing, just smashing. All right, but let's get back on track. So Angelo Dawkins taking on Andrade, one-on-one action. It was a good match. Give it that. Dawkins picks up the victory for his fallen brethren. And then immediately following, or not really immediately following, but we do get Bianca Belair taking on Zelina Vega in one-on-one competition, represent her husband, her boo. And Bianca getting that job done on Zelina, which was a good match. I might add, that was a good match. I would watch that one again just to see Zelina, feel like she was so close and then loses it to Bianca in payback for the eventual poisoning of husband's cup this past week with Montez Ford. One-on-one action. Apollo Crews, a non-title match, facing against Shelton Benjamin, member of the Hurt Business. And unfortunately for Mr. Crews, he don't get the work done. He don't get the job done because Shelton Benjamin, the gold standard of the Hurt Business, gets the job done this week. R-Truth pinning Akira Tozawa. Tozawa getting distracted. Tozawa getting actually before we get that far, might want to change that. Viking Raiders, Cedric Alexander and Ricochet, tag team action, 8-man tag taking on Akira Tozawa and the Ninjas in tag team action. Raiders, Alexander, Ricochet, they put on a good match. Good match. They pick up the victory over Tozawa, destroyed the Ninjas. Immediately following, Ninja pins Tozawa in a 24/7 championship match. Ninja turns out to be R-Truth. R-Truth is the new 24/7 champion for, what was it, the 38th time? I kid you not, that man has been the longest champion ever. It's just crazy to think that he's been holding on to that championship for the longest time. Now, it's funny that it's just, he's 38 times. He's holding on to it for 30. He's won it 38 times. That is a lot of championship gold. That is just past Ric Flair currency. But granted, the 24/7 title is not even in the ballpark of prestige and relevance. It's more like the hardcore title tier where it just constantly gets changed. But still, 38 times. I think that has got to be like the most times ever in the history. Hardcore championship. Let's see. How many times was the looking at how many times someone held on to that title? I'm trying to find that right now. Hardcore champions. Let's see. Most days, or actually reigns held. The most was 27. Raven, the 27-time hardcore champion. Literally. Could not make this up. So R-Truth has held more titles as 24/7 champion than Raven did as the hardcore champion. That is, that's some, damn, that's a lot of time with that gold. I mean, granted, the hardcore title was brought in, 98? And it lasted till, 2002? Memory, 98, November 2nd, 1998. Mankind was the first champ. And it lasted all the way till, let's see, August 26, 2002. So, yeah. What, 4 years? 24/7 championship's been inaugurated back in 2019. So we're 1 year. We're about, literally, we are almost at the 1 year mark. Actually, no, sorry. We're past the 1 year mark. May 20th was the year. So we are a year and what? January, February, March, April, May, June, July. We're a year and 3 months into this 24/7 title reign, and 38 times R-Truth has held it. That is a lot. That is a lot. A lot of calamity, a lot of comedy, but still a lot. Just still crazy. Back onto the TV. What happened? Went on a rambling rant with the hardcore title, which that was awesome, but you got to do a lot more. There was a lot more pain with it. I mean, this has been more like the 24/7 roll up championship, belt that we've been seeing on TV. Just sneak up behind the ref, behind the competitor, roll them up, 1, 2, 3, hightail it out, or surprise, I'm a referee in uniform, and what? Roll up. But I feel like the 24/7 is more like calamity and comedy style championship. Hardcore was more calamity and destruction because it was hardcore. You could use weapons, and it was defended 24/7 from the time. Let's see, when did the 24/7 rule, the 24/7 rule began. Where was it? It was established when Crash Holly won it. So Crash Holly wins it. What? I know it's got to be somewhere in the time frame. So number champion. So Crash Holly won it in February of 2000. He won in 2000 and instantaneously decided, you know what? We're going to introduce the 24/7 rule. So for 2 years, that craziness began, where it was just attack anywhere. I mean, we had him being attacked in a fun arcade, in a playpen, at an airport, at the hotel. Literally, that was just crazy and calamity and destruction. 24/7 tile is just more funny and roll up. That's all it is. It's still fun. Okay, now originally back to what I was gonna, what happened on Raw. Peyton Royce defeated Liv Morgan. One-on-one action. It was okay match, but it was still good to see the Riot Squad again. Hopefully these two will actually, these two women will actually be in tag team championship opportunity down the line against Bailey and Banks. Asuka taking on Bailey in a one-on-one match. If Asuka wins, she gets a Raw Women's title match at SummerSlam. And this was a hella good match. A very hot fought match. Bailey mocking Kairi Sane just backfired. Asuka gets the victory, the tap out, and Asuka will challenge for the Raw Women's title at SummerSlam against Sasha Banks. And that match, I would actually go back and watch again because that one was just action packed. There was a submission match essentially for a while. It felt like this was going to be a submission match. Asuka just throwing on so many submissions, and Bailey, also, but it was still a great match. And then main event time. Randy Orton taking on Kevin Owens in a match set up from the previous week with Flair and KO getting a little chat war. A little tit for tat right there. KO getting early advantage early in the match. Unfortunately, he loses it, and Orton, after back and forth, Orton gets the victory, RKO, and KO loses. But the night was not yet over as Flair and Orton were celebrating. Orton decides, you know what? You're kind of a liability for me now. You need, you're not really the nature boy of old. It's like, yeah, Orton, I'm not the nature boy of old because I've been this close to death. And when you've been that close to death, you realize you need to tell people closest to you love them, you respect, you just want to be a part of them. I'm just Ric Flair. I'm just Charlotte Flair's dad now. And I want to see you break my record, not John Cena's record, my record. I want to be there when you win your 16th, when you win your 17th, your 18th world title. I want you, because you are the greatest wrestler going today. You are the greatest wrestler ever right now. But unfortunately for Mr. Orton, he don't see it that way after a warm embrace. Just decides to low blow Orton, low blow Ric Flair. And while the lights were flickering, Orton decides to punt Flair in the head. Good God, that was one of those things where you knew it was coming. You're in the ring, they're celebrating. And then you see Orton with the microphone. You're like, oh, shit. Flair, I would start to backpedal, just slowly backpedal, just ever so slightly. Just start making your way towards the ring ropes. Get close, just in case. And it's like, you can't really trust this Orton right now. I mean, this is the 09 Orton right here. This is the one that would RKO you, give you a concussion, and then punt you square in the head just for fun because he was crazy. He had voices in his head, and it was just working so evilly for him. It was evil, but it worked. It was so cold and callous for him. But I feel like this Orton right now. The 2019, there's 2020, 2019 Orton. 2019, 2020 Orton is the Orton of 09, where he is just so deadly. I mean, heck, he punted one of his best friends, Edge. He punted Christian in the head. He punted Big Show in the head, and now he just freaking punted Ric Flair, a 70-year-old Ric Flair who has a pacemaker in his heart, as his heart. That literally, 71 years old, a 70-year 71-year-old Ric Flair, who has had, been dropped from an airplane and it just hit the ground. He's had lightning hit his umbrella in the pouring rain and killed a guy standing 3 feet away from him, dead. He has lived the life of a wrestling king for the longest time. 4 Horsemen, WCW World Champion, NWA World Champion, WCW Champion, WWF Champion, 16-time World Champion, around the world. Evolution. His own daughter. I mean, he has literally, his son, losing his son that was trying to be a wrestler, but inadvertently brought in his, with that tragedy, brought in his daughter, and now she's on a launching pad of her own to be one of the best women in the world of all time. One of the best. So Ric Flair has lived the life and has one hell of a run. But for Ric Flair to come back just to have, some fun, hang out with Orton, just be a buddy to him, and then get punted, a low blowed and then punted. Wow. Just so crazy. And this Orton is very dangerous, and SummerSlam is going to be very, very interesting to check out for everyone to see what is going to happen when the Beast Slayer, Drew McIntyre, hopefully can send the Viper to Claymore Country and just kick him in the head with that Claymore. Or is Viper Venom going to be overpowering for Drew McIntyre, the chosen one? That's going to be fun to see. That was Raw. A very, very, very crazy Raw this past week. Let's head on over to AEW. Some programming notes for this upcoming week. This upcoming AEW, this next week. So if you're going to be checking out TNT this next week, and you turn on Wednesday night and you think, oh yeah, it's time for some AEW. Figuring, it's time for some Dynamite. Gotta get my Dynamite fix in. Well, sorry, Charlie, but it ain't gonna be on there this week because this coming week's show will be moved to Saturday, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 Pacific time, as it will helpfully roll in for NXT TakeOver, for NBA playoff time, because basketball is back. So for thinking you're going to be watching AEW this next week, this coming Wednesday, sorry, gotta wait till Saturday. Hopefully you're heading on over to NXT immediately following for TakeOver 30 and SummerSlam weekend. The start of SummerSlam weekend this coming week. So that should be very, very interesting. I want to get something up here quick on my end of the spectrum before I continue to talk about AEW, because I knew I forgot something when I was putting this together. AEW. AEW. I'll actually talk about that in a little bit. This week's Dynamite episode, Young Bucks taking on Grayson and Evil Uno of the Dark Order in tag team action, because this week was tag team themed. It was, everything was kind of tag team related because it was Tag Team Appreciation Night. So a lot of the matches were tag team style. Granted, granted, was only like 5 matches on the card. The Young Bucks taking on Grayson and Evil Uno. Young Bucks picking up the victory. TNT title on the line, a brand new title, the Finish title. The one that Cody has been holding on to was just the silver one was more, not yet ready, but now we have the finished product and it looks just, actually, before I find it, I have to, or get what I want to find. I will bring up what this new title looks like. It just looks so good. Like, literally, it looks so good. I will see if they have a better picture of it. Actually, yeah. So, StreamYard, let me remove that for a second and bring back up what this new title looks like. This title looks just beautiful, baby. I mean, what Cody was holding on to was, the silver one on the bottom, but now the finished one looks so good, all in gold. It looks beautiful. It looks just too sweet. Literally, it looks good. But now with that new title is going to bring a little bit more prestige to it because it just looks so good. Break that down for you guys here on the live show. But yes, TNT title opportunity for Scorpio Sky as he takes on Cody. That match was a hell of a good match. Cody picks up the victory and then immediately following gets challenged by Brody Lee, holding the original title, the silver one that was just taken to the back. And of course, before the match, we saw former WWE official Mike Chioda. He is now on AEW, so a lot of people who have been released from their contracts from WWE are showing up on different areas now, a lot more. So this is just beautiful. Hangman Page and Kenny Omega defending the tag team titles against Jurassic Express. Jurassic Express does not get the tag team titles as Omega and Page keep the titles in a great match. Great tag team match right there for the night. Women's champion Haruka Shida taking on Heather Monroe. It was a great match with these ladies. I hope you go and check that out. It was a good match. Back and forth. Shida picks up the victory, wanting new challengers for her title. And then, of course, main event time of the night, the $7,000 matchup. Orange Cassidy taking on the champion, Chris Jericho. This match was good. Granted, at the end, it was a little botchy, but still, this was still a good match to watch. I loved it. Seeing Jericho and Orange Cassidy, it was fun. I loved it. Cassidy pulls up the upset on Jericho in the rematch. I feel like this is going to set up the third match. It's going to be a very, very interesting third match. Hopefully, we get that all out next month. Should be awesome, to say the least. It should be very, 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 very awesome indeed. We do know that, also what happened in the night, we had tag teams talking in the ring. We had the Young Bucks, we had FTR, we had the legendary Rock and Roll Express, and we also had, I don't know how we want to classify this, but 2 of the 4 original Horsemen / the Brainbusters of Tully Blanchard and the Enforcer, Double A, Arn Anderson. Chilling out in the ring, talking a little bit. As the night, as the segment came to a close, we got to see FTR take out Rock and Roll Express with the jumping pile driver from the second rope. Yeah, it's just crazy what's going on in the tag team scene over on Dynamite. Should be interesting coming, obviously coming on up with what they're going to be doing with these guys, especially FTR. Next week, we're going to see on Saturday, the 22nd. Again, remember, next Saturday is going to be AEW. Next Wednesday, if you're checking out on TNT, it's just going to be basketball. So next week, you should be checking out NXT. NXT is going to get a lot of views next week. And before the before show for Takeover weekend. Next week, TNT title on the line. Cody taking on Brody Lee. 6-man tag. The Elite taking on the Dark Order. The Elite going to be represented with Paige and the Young Bucks. Wait, was it? Dang it. I think I may have gotten that one wrong. I have to double check with what I want to say was Adam Page. It's going to bother me now. Just it is literally going to bother me if I got this wrong. Because I just literally saw it and I was like, what happened? AEW Elite. Just show me what is going to be here next week. Nope, Kenny. Dang it. I looked at it wrong. Kenny Omega and the Bucks will take on the Dark Order and 6-man tag match. Hey, when I thought I had it wrong. Right. Either way, next up, FTR will take on Private Party. And then, of course, in 8-man tag, it will be the Lucha Bros, the Butcher, and the Blade taking on Jurassic Express and the Natural Nightmares. Should be a great night of wrestling on Saturday. You're going to have AEW Dynamite, and then you're going to be rolling right into TakeOver. We will talk about that in a short little bit. Let's see. The Women's Tag Team Cup, the AEW Tag Team Tournament that they're having for the women. Where is it? I just had it. We had this past Monday. We had I'm like trying to find where it was at. You know what? I cannot find it off the. Oh yeah, it was another first round match. It was Evilise and Dynamite taking on Dasha and Rachel Ellering. So that was a good, it should be a good match. I did not go and check it out. I will have to, and I will let you know what happened on that past week, this past Monday. But of course, the tournament is on every Monday on YouTube. Go and check that out. Was kind of a little bit busy with watching Monday Night Raw and enjoying some life. I'll let you know the next show what happened so I can be accurate. But let's head on over to NXT and close out this week's show. Talk about what has been happening, what's going to happen coming up this next week as we're on this last stretch of road, the last little mile before we head into Takeover and SummerSlam weekend right here. Karrion Kross taking on Danny Burch 1-on-1. Great match. It was a great match. Kross picks up the victory. We get the contract signing with Keith Lee and Karrion Kross. Kross signs the contract. Afterwards, Keith, who's already has his name on the contract and Regal's name on it, so it's official for Takeover 30. Keith Lee checks out the contract and gets a fireball for his effort in his face, which was cool to see. Santos Escobar taking on Tyler Breeze, one-on-one action with his partner a little injured. Escobar takes out Tyler Breeze. More destructive chaos happens with Tyler Breeze's partner Fandango coming out to save his buddy and attack with a broom handle, which was fun to see. Women's action, Mia Yim taking on Indy Hartwell. Yim picks up the victory. And I want to call it a squash match a little bit. Two of the three members already announced for that have already qualified for the ladder match at TakeOver for the North American title. Bronson Reed taking on Damian Priest in one-on-one action. That was a damn good match. Reed picks up the victory. I thoroughly enjoyed that one. It was a really good match. Really, really good. The tag team of Martinez and Aaliyah of the Robert Stone brand taking on Caden Carter and Katsy Katznero was a good match. I loved it. It was a very entertaining match. Unfortunately, Martinez and Aaliyah pick up the victory. Robert Stone gets kicked in his ankle, the one that's injured from the tank rolling over him. It's still fun to see that part. And then in the final triple threat match to determine who will be advancing to the TakeOver ladder match for the North American title, it was Cameron Grimes taking on Kushida, and the mystery opponent is the Velveteen Dream. He is back on the show, baby. First time we've seen him since TakeOver in your house, since he can no longer challenge for the NXT title as long as Adam Cole is champion. And unfortunately for Mr. Velveteen Dream, he did not win, but he was not part of the fall. So he is kind of safe for the moment. But unfortunately for Mr. Kushida, he is not. Cameron Grimes picks up the victory over Kushida and advances to take over for the North American title match in a ladder match. But all is not lost for Mr. Velveteen Dream, because next week is a stacked card, because on the last show before TakeOver 30, we're going to have a face-to-face with Mr. Pat McAfee and Adam Cole before their match at TakeOver. We're going to have ourselves a six-man tag. Phantasma and his cronies taking on Brazingo and Isaiah Swerve Scott. And then in two one-on-one qualifying matches for the final two spots in the ladder match, the four individuals who were not pinned or submitted in their triple threat matches over the last 3 weeks. Last 3-4 weeks. Last 4 weeks. 3 weeks. Last 3 weeks. So the four that were not pinned or submitted will go one-on-one in a qualifying match. Johnny Gargano taking on Ridge Holliday, and Finn Balor taking on the Velveteen Dream. Winners of those matches will go on to TakeOver and the NXT North American Championship ladder match. Should be awesome next Wednesday. And then before we head on out, we had more matches announced for this coming weekend. Not this next one, or not this one that's coming up in a couple days, but the following TakeOver weekend. We do know at TakeOver 30, Bronson Reed will take on Damian Priest, will take on Cameron Grimes. And then, of course, we'll find out who will also qualify. It will either be Johnny Gargano, Ridge Holliday, Finn Balor, or Velveteen Dream in those two one-on-one matches. And then, of course, might as well switch this back out over to here. Boom. And then, of course, for the women's title, Dakota Kai takes on Iro Shirai. In a one-on-one match. It'll be Adam Cole, baby, taking on Pat McAfee. Hopefully, Adam Cole's head is still not ringing from that kick he got. And then, of course, NXT titles on the line. Keith Lee taking on Karrion Kross. SummerSlam the next night. But before the end of Takeover Talk, the theme was announced, and it's freaking awesome. Metallica delivering with Moth into the Flame. Go and pick that up on iTunes or pick that up wherever you get your tunes. It is awesome. It is banging. And it fits Takeover 30 perfectly. SummerSlam the next night. Street Profits taking on Andrade and Angel Garza for the Raw Tag Team titles. Drew McIntyre taking on Randy Orton for the WWE Championship. Apollo Crews taking on MVP for the U.S. title. Dominic Mysterio taking on Seth Rollins one-on-one in his first match for the young Mysterio. Sasha Banks will defend against Asuka for the Raw Women's title. Braun Strowman will defend against The Fiend for the Universal title, and Bayley will defend the title, the SmackDown Women's title, against the winner of the triple branded Battle Royal this time tomorrow. We will find out tomorrow night on SmackDown. 7 matches are announced for SummerSlam. Only one out of the other 7 is tag team match. Hopefully we get some added stuff to SummerSlam, because it's just being heavily one-on-one matches. Just saying. A little bit. But that's going to be it for what has been going on in the world of wrestling. Actually, before we go, last week we introduced it to you, but I feel like we need to do it one more time. This is kind of a little fun thing I'm going to do as we get closer, as the month of August is going, and also with SummerSlam just around the bend. Figure might as well have a little fun with something to get you guys to do on your off time. Maybe go and check out some past shows. And what I have here is a wheel. We're not playing Wheel of Fortune. You're not going to get a constant, and you're not going to get a value. You're not going to get any prize money for this, but this is a wheel to, get you guys out there to see some classic SummerSlam pay-per-views. And you notice in there, after last week, we kind of took out 1990s. We took out one. We took out 1999 SummerSlam, because you obviously went and gone checked that out last week. But we replaced it with Bash at the Beach. Now, I know it's not an August pay-per-view for WCW, but the fact that it's a summer theme and it's the beach, figured might as well get you to check it out. But we do have one WCW in there right now, 97. Might land on it, might not. So how about we give this a little spin and see what you guys need to go and check out for this coming week? To go, go a little throwback. Let's check it out. Oh, we're going to go up the ladder one year. We're going to go up to 2000. That's a good year. I mean, a very, very good year with, pay-per-view. SummerSlam 2000. That was a classic. You have, let me make sure I got, I bring this one down a little bit. But SummerSlam 2000, North Carolina. This was a great card. You had the 6-man tag with Right to Censor against Too Cool. You had the Grandmaster Sexay, Rikishi, and Scotty 2 Hotty. And you kind of got to see maybe a little bit of Victoria, soon to be, a couple years down the line. You got to see you got to see X-Pac taking on the Road Dogg. You got to see an intergender tag match for the IC title. Eddie Guerrero in China taking on Trish and Val Venus. Jerry Lawler taking on Taz. Okay, maybe not. That wasn't a good match, but still interesting. A hardcore match for the hardcore title. Shane McMahon taking on Steve Blackman. That was a hell of a moment. 2 out of 3 falls match. Chris Benoit. I said it. Whoop. I said the name Benoit taking on the other Chris, Jericho. 2 out of 3 falls match. That was hella good. The first ever TLC match for the tag team titles. Edge and Christian, the Dudley Boys, the Hardy Boys. Who wouldn't want to go see that match again? That was a classic. I would. Terry Runnels taking on the Cat in a stink face match. Highly recommend, unless you are a teenage boy and think that these, you want to see some, 2000 Braun Payne stuff. That's a match right there you want to avoid, unless you're one of those, if you're a teenage boy that obviously wants to see that. But still, you had Kane and The Undertaker in a no DQ match, even though it didn't end the way we wanted to, or even end the correct way. And then, of course, a triple threat match for the WWF Championship. You had The Rock, you had Triple H, and you had Kurt Angle. And you had Kurt Angle and Triple H in this triangle with Steph at the time. So a lot of craziness. A lot of interesting stuff. But it was still a good pay-per-view to go back and check out. So go and do yourself a favor. Go on the network. Check this stuff out. Because it is so good. But of course, that is going to be it. Finito. We are done. We have expended our time here for this Thursday here on the Flex Network. Of course, you could find us on the Facebook. You can find us on Twitter. You can find us on that YouTube. But of course, if you want to make sure, if you are a fantasy football lover, season's rolling up, coming up close, guys. We're chugging straight ahead. You can follow us at the Flex Network 1 for your football and fantasy football needs. And boy, coming up, here's some for you guys. Need to go check this out here on the Flex Network. We are coming up. I have to double check, make sure. Next week, next Tuesday, the Flex Network is going to be having a special guest. A very, very special guest on the Shizzo. I just want to make sure I got the name. I'm going to say the name right. I don't want Matt, Flex Matt, or anybody else to tell me, you said it wrong. You said it wrong, man. It's like, hey, I don't want to get in trouble, man. So I'm going to get this name right. But we're going to have on the show John the Guru Hansen, the voice of Sirius XM Fantasy Football Mornings, Fantasy Sports Writers Association, Hall of Famer, and the founder of the fantasypoints.com. So that is going to be awesome to come and check out the show, guys. If you are a fantasy football lover, if you want to talk football, listen to football in general, come and check it out. Next Tuesday, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Go and come on down. I'm sure we love some fans to come out and join. But otherwise, I will be back next week as the road to SummerSlam draws closer. The biggest party of the summer is next weekend. NXT TakeOver is also, 30 is next week also. But for myself and the Flex Network. Oh, and before I completely forget, if you are listening to this on podcast, if you're listening to this on Spotify, Apple, Google, like, share, subscribe on all of our platforms. Like and subscribe to everything. Of course, follow us here at the FlexNet _PW Elite for all of your wrestling content. And make sure that if we are not on a podcast that you listen to, that you follow, that you use as a service, let us know. We'll get there so we can continue to flex. Flex. We going to flex hard on this. But of course, that is going to be it for me. Till next week, I am the SnowMan. And we will see you next week. Peace out.
This is the Flex Network. This is the Flex Network. Flex on them. Flex on everybody. This right here is the Flex Network. Yeah. Flex on the G. Flex.
The preceding announcement has been paid for by the New World Order.